and we got to Libya. When we got to Libya, there was another group from our group. There was a first group that was dispatched. But all along this line, we had not discussed who would be our leader. We accepted Taylor as our in-law to help us save Nimba County from the oppressive system of Samedo. But we needed to have a leader. And there was a revolutionary group, a leader in which a leader is not imposed upon anybody. When we got to Libya, William Obe I talked about was the first group of people that went to Libya. And when we got there, the English we heard was not the English we could get used to. The group that went, William Obe told them, Major Taylor, our leader, Major Taylor, our leader. Major Taylor is our leader. You like it, Jacko, you don't like it, Jacko Lanta. So Taylor leadership was imposed upon us in Libya. When we got there from Burkina and joined all the other groups, there were other people in prison there already on the base. The people who said that they needed election and they would not take Taylor as a leader. Forget about spending money and doing what? It was not his own money. It was Gaddafi's money that he was to spend. And that day the men were the ones to use the guns to shed blood, their own blood and the blood of their own countrymen. So they were known in the Taylor. They wanted men from among their own kind. And that didn't go well with Mr. Taylor. He imprisoned Cooper Miller, he imprisoned Augustine Wright, and in Burkina Faso, he tricked them into going to Burkina with the intent of buying vehicles we could use to evade Liberia. And when he got there, he asked Blaise Compaoré to imprison them and they remained in jail. On the base itself, I was in jail. The late General Samuel Vani was in jail. Tiger Wanti was also put to jail. Ina Dogoya was put to jail. There's so many people that were in jail. They would beat us in jail, take us from jail, torture us, and go for training, and charge us for treason. He took me from jail and asked Musa to make me tribunal chairman. I became the chairman of the tribunal in Eza when we had not come to remove Doe, and Doe was still here as the leader, president, commander-in-chief. We are troubling each other in Libya. And Taylor had a system where he had one man on another, one group on another. Each group was a private security and on the other group. And when you had nothing to report, whenever he came from Burkina Faso to Libya, when you had nothing to report, he won't trust you. So when we discovered that, whenever he came back from Libya, there were over 100 plus letters from the same people will be writing against each other. Like Chairman Vardia will write against me that I want to overthrow Taylor, that I will write against Vardia, whom Taylor trusts dearly, that Vardia too want to overthrow. So the whole thing was confused. So we were in Libya and he explained this to Blaise Compaoré, and Blaise Compaoré said to him, well, if the soldiers you will use to overthrow your country's government is divided on this line and they cannot understand each other, they don't even like you, then I will provide you commandos. And he said, no, your commandos don't know our terrain. Whatever the case, I will hold my patient. I will try to not let them know what I intend to do, but they will get to know later. You will only put a few men among us when we are leaving to go. And then on the base, we have Guineans, we have Sierra Leoneans, we have Liberians who are there led by Putu Major. The late Putu Major from, I think, Grand Croissano. And these guys were sent there by Burma Fambulo through Joe Wally, a Fambulo British. So they were in Libya. But when they gave Joe Wally and the group money to go and bring more recruits for training to come and invade Liberia, money was sweet, they didn't go back. And they left those boys abandoned, and those were the guys that we absorbed into the MPFL. Taylor brought them on board because his own group now, he could not trust so many of us. So he brought other groups from the Liberian group that Fambulo sent there. He brought also the group from Sierra Leone, he brought other groups. But the group from Sierra Leone did not have leadership, because the leadership was giving money to go and bring more recruits too, and he decided to build a supermarket in Guinea, Conakry, and abandon the men there in Libya. So all these groups were brought on board. Saint Taylor knew that the men he had, though they were small in number, but very qualified, very tactical, very proficient, but what was lacking according to him was the obedience and submissiveness to him. So he had to bring other groups on board to neutralize this Liberian group. So we went through series of trainings, tactical trainings, airborne training, jungle warfare, whatever the case. All 4 phases of military discipline we went through to come and attack Liberia. We wanted to attack Liberia, launching a seaborne attack, but the Strait of Gibraltar was blocked by the U.S. warships because there were sanctions on Libya at the time, so we couldn't make it. So we couldn't pass through Ivory Coast, and we thought we could pass through Ivory Coast, and that was the only hope for us. That was the only option. But we decided to use Sierra Leone. So Mr. Taylor said to us, look, we cannot pass through the Strait of Gibraltar from here to launch a seaborne attack, stay on the high sea and come on shore with boats to launch the attack, and there's no way. Let's try Sierra Leone. Because once upon a time, MPFL that I am now head of today passed through Freetown, did not just pass there, but President Momo, who is still president at the time, when we were in Libya, provided men for Kwangba to invade Liberia. So Taylor now left to go to Sierra Leone with one Prince Bagley. So Prince Bagley now took him to President Momo and introduced Mr. Taylor to him. And the idea of using Sierra Leone was accepted by President Momo.